Welcome to the Gamer and the Weeb podcast, the only podcast that could have been adventurous but took an arrow to the knee. I'm your host, Ryan, here with your co host, Leo. What's going on, my dude?
What's up, bro? So, last video was an anime video. You already know what that means. This is gonna be a fucking video game video. So, today we're gonna be talking about pretty much our top 5 games that have the most replay value. Meaning, as after you finish the game, you can pretty much play it again, like over and over. Like you never get tired of it. And this is pretty much like gonna be a lot of nostalgia. There's not really much newer games that's gonna be in this list. I'm pretty sure it's all gonna be like, not too old but not too newish games. But let's not waste any time. Let's start with your number 5, Ryan.
Well, I'm sure this comes to no surprise to anybody, as it's probably the series I've talked about the most on this podcast. But my number 5 is Batman Arkham Knight. Now, I know some people might say, well, Arkham City or Arkham Asylum is a better game. But when it comes to replay value, you can't tell me after you beat all of the tanks, it wasn't so much fun to change the Batmobile into the Christian Bale Batmobile, the Michael Keaton Batmobile, all the other Batmobiles that they had for DLC, and drive around and just have so much fun doing it. And that's not even going to take into consideration that they have the challenge maps. Think about how many times you went back just to beat up, a couple random thugs. And it's just super fun to grapple around the city. So, and the actual Gotham City was pretty much no limits. That's why I chose Arkham Knight over any other game in the Arkham series. It's the one I definitely replayed the most as far as when it comes to beating the main story.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one because I also like after I finished beating the game once, I wanted to play it again, but this time I bought like all the DLC skins for Batman and the Batmobile, and then I've throughout the whole replay of that game, I've switched the skins so many times. I've changed the Batmobile so many times. I'm like, I'll play as like the Nightfall Batman, then I'll be like, that's pretty cool, and then I'll switch to Batman Beyond Batman. I play that a little bit more, and then I change it to the New 52 Batman. So it's mostly for the skins, but seeing Batman in a different skin while playing than the original, it's a lot more fun in my opinion.
Yeah, what really makes the replay value is the customization of Batman and the customization of the Batmobile. What's really cool too is if you customize like the other characters that you see throughout the story, like Nightwing, Robin, Harley Quinn, they will actually change skins too. So like if you had the original Harley Quinn skin, the whole game she shows up as the original Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's Arkham Knight was for sure probably the only Batman game I beat when it comes to the Arkham series.
Really?
Yeah, I played the first two, but I never really beat them. That Knight was the only one I beat. So go ahead, hate on me, talk shit to me. I don't care.
Fucking hanging up, dude.
All right, so
what's your number 5, bud?
so my number 5, it's gonna sound kind of weird. Oh, by the way, me and Ryan only told our 5 and 4 in the list, so I don't know his top 3, and he doesn't know my top 3. But my top 5 is a weird one. I pretty much it was a hard list, so for the 5th, I'm like, you know what, fuck it. For my number 5 is pretty much every old console game, meaning PS2 games, GameCube games, Nintendo 64 games. I don't know, Sega Genesis, whatever kind of older game, because like this is more towards like our kind of age, like our generation, where if we had a PS2 in our hands right now, we would play every single fucking game we've played when we were kids. The same with GameCube, same with the 64. Like, if I had a 64 on me, I would be playing Super Mario 64 like every day. If I had a GameCube, I'd be playing Mario Sunshine every day. Just games like those that pretty much made you or made your childhood so awesome, and I would love to replay them. I guess I would like a remaster of those games, but I do like having that nostalgic graphic feeling to it, where it's like, damn, I remember when I first played as a game as a kid, I was like, this is amazing. Like, one thing for sure I would play is a pretty underrated Crash game, Crash Bandicoot. It's called Crash Bandicoot Twincinnati, and that's when you and Cortex work together, and that was my favorite Crash game. If they remastered it, I would for sure buy it. But I would rather get a PS2 and play it that way because just the way overall feels of the graphics and everything. It was like really good at the time too, so I love that game. Yeah, so pretty much just any old game for the older generation of consoles is my number five.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Honestly, like I love this nostalgia. That's kind of what my leads me right into my number four, dude. Honestly, so at my number four, I have a tie at least for a Soul Calibur 2 and Tony Hawk Underground, and both of those games are for the PlayStation 2
Oh my god.
and the Xbox. Because I was really thinking about it, dude. So I love Soul Calibur. It was probably my favorite game growing up as a kid. You know, I'd always play as Nightmare or freaking or Spawn or Link because those are the guest characters for those games, and they were just some of my favorite memories because I remember like I thought it was so violent and so cool just to hack and slash people, and my parents didn't know that Soul Calibur was like that. So I was like, dude, I'm getting away with just like hacking up people. And it was like the first fighting game I actually remember playing, so it brings me a lot of nostalgia. And the reason it's tied with Tony Hawk Underground is it was because it was my first, like, I guess you could say sports game or skating game I ever played, and I loved it so much because it was so like early 2000s. Like you could make your character into a skeleton with like rock and roll bracelets on, and you could just skate around your town and upgrade your board, and just really the maps was the betters like Bam and Tony Hawk. But the reason those games are so replayable is Soul Calibur is a fighting game. So the more characters you fight with, the more characters you unlock. And so I wanted to unlock all the characters, so I just pick a random character and fight with him to see if he was the character that unlocked this character, or she was a character that unlocked this character. And so that was the main reason I replayed it over and over again. And I just loved the battle against Inferno in that one. And as far as Tony Hawk Underground, the reason I played it so much is because you could customize your own character, the clothes, the skin color. Like I said, you can make them a skeleton. You can customize your own board, the design on the bottom, the grip tape, the wheels, the color of the wheels. And it was just an overall fun game because it was crazy and it didn't take itself too seriously. So it was super fun. And it's the one game me and my brother still wish we had for the original Xbox, but we tore that game up. So if anyone knows where to get it, let me know in the comments.
Well, I mean, you're making money now, so you could always get an Xbox and get Underground, you know?
That's true, yeah.
Alright, so for my number four, it's going to be a pretty surprising game on my list. But pretty much the Black Ops 2 is my number four. But campaign wise, not really. I mean, if I had a multiplayer in my hands, I would play it. But I don't want to because no one's on the line anymore. So what's the point? But when it comes to single player, it was probably the first Call of Duty we ever had where you had choices and those choices matter at the end. So I think there was four different endings in the campaign, and there was always a choice that you could go to. So like I know, like let's say one of them was, oh, you need to assassinate this one dude that works with Menendez, and you have a slight chance of missing your shot or like not killing him. And he runs away, and then he's alive for the rest of the game. Or you could kill him there, and then he's dead from there. There's also like a choice where when you're driving, and then your buddy Harper is in like in the back of the truck, and he says avoid the fire. But if you ran into the fire, then you'll see his face get burned off. Or if you avoid it, then he keeps his face looking clean. So like pretty much, there's so many choices in that game that happens that affects the ending. So like there's four different endings, So like the best one was when Mason is still alive and surprises Woods. Woods survives. Menendez is in jail, like pissed off. The worst one is when Menendez kills Woods. Mason is dead. Menendez escapes jail, and pretty much like just four different. I mean, think about it, four different endings, dude. Like, that the writing staff really went into town in this game, and then again, the people who wrote the campaign is the ones who wrote The Dark Knight Rises. So when I heard about that, I replayed the game, and Menendez does give off like a Bane kind of personality where he's pretty much super smart. He's calm, just fucks everything up. like without even like doing much hard work. I mean, he did hard work, but it's pretty much like how Bane put Batman away easily, and that's how like Menendez is like it's like two different worlds but the same person. Just one's Cuban and one is Russian in the movie for some reason, but like in the actual
In
fucking
the comic books, he's
comics,
actually
yeah, in
Cuban.
the comics he's Cuban, yeah. So like Black Ops 2 was good. I did play the shit out of the multiplayer, so I guess you could say that if people were playing it as much as they were before, then I'll be playing the campaign as well. And of course, zombies. Black Ops 2 has Origins, which is, in my opinion, the best zombies maps ever created ever in zombies. So I remember just waking up in the morning and playing with friends and trying to do the Easter egg for hours and hours and hours. Never did it, but it's so goddamn hard to do that Easter egg. So for me, Black Ops 2 is for sure like one of those amazing Call of Duty games that we'll never see again. But also because of the campaign and the zombies is the reason why is in my number 4 for replay value. What's your number 3, bro?
So, my number 3. Some people are gonna say this is kind of low, but this is my list, so fuck off.
If it's what I think it is, bro, I'm gonna be fucking mad at you.
What do you think it is?
Well, say it. Just say it.
My number 3 is Skyrim.
Okay, never mind.
My number 3 is Skyrim. I mean, when it comes to replayability, there are so many things you can do in Skyrim. You cannot do everything on your first go around in Skyrim. There's no way. Like the first time I played Skyrim, I didn't even know there was a main story. I thought this was going around and doing all side missions. So I did almost all the side missions, and then my buddy was like, "Hey, did you beat it yet?" And I was like, "Well, I almost got all the missions done." And I told him like what missions I had done. He was like, "That's just the side quest, dude. This is the main story." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." And so that was cool for me because it was a cake pretty much walk all the way through. But I mean, you just think about it, all the monsters that you can hunt and fight, all the character interactions, all the things you could do to your character as far as customization as what you look like, what weapons you use, what magic you use, all the love interest you can have. Like, it's just so much love put into this one game that it's one of the most replayable games of all times, and there was no way I could make this list without putting it on there.
Well, that does piss me off because Skyrim was one of the best games I ever played in my life. Like, it's my favorite RPG game. So hearing it on your number 3, I'm like, really, bro? Like, Skyrim is amazing. But, well, I might piss you off with this one because my number 3 is The Wolf Among Us. That's my number 3.
Okay.
And I like mind you the fact that I've never played a Telltale game. Because like The Walking Dead, like I was watching the series at the time, and I'm like, I don't really want to play the game because like it was mostly just pick and choose. It wasn't really like a gameplay wise. And when The Wolf Among Us came around, like, I heard you play as a werewolf and he's a detective. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty dank. So and it was free for Xbox Gold. So I'm like, fuck, I might as well just get it, right? The whole season 1. So I got it, and after finishing, I'm like, holy shit. I gotta replay this again and choose all the different paths that I did from the first gameplay. Like, there's so much shit that you do. Like, I remember in the bar scene when you're Bigby, and you walk in the bar scene, and, like, there's a way to, like, slap, that one dude. I forget, he turned into, like, a white monster. I forget what it was. But there's an option after you fuck him up to rip his arm off. And usually when I play the first time, if it's any game, if it's replay, I would be the nice guy at first, So like when it tell me, oh, you can rip his arm off, I said nah, like, I'm good. I'll just leave it as is. I already fucked him up. But then when I play the second time, I'm like, do I just go all out, just be a straight asshole and just being evil as fuck? So I just destroyed his arm and just ripped it off and shit. But I did every single like evil choice on my second playthrough. And that's pretty much with any game. So if it's like a good and an evil choice, I'll be the good one first, and then my second playthrough be the evil one. And The Wolf Among Us is for sure, hands down, like, has a lot of replay value because pretty much every single scene has at least one choice to choose from, and each choice that you choose always is different. Even like from the beginning, like when you fight what's his name, the Woodsman.
Yeah, the Woodsman.
Yeah, so like when you fight him, if you don't dodge his attacks, like it won't kill you, but it'll hit you and it'll affect the story. So that's what I like about games like these, where there's a lot of love. Like Ryan was saying about with Skyrim, there's a lot of love with these games because the creators put so much time and effort, and I love that because nowadays game creators don't do that. They just rush their game out, and then there's a lot of bugs they need to fix, and then by the time the game is perfect, it's already when it's dead, and I hate that. So like these mangas, like or just Telltale in general, they know how to make their games, and I love replay value, which is the whole point of the video. But and your número dos, mi amigo.
My number two is my favorite 360 game of all time, and I was so happy to get this remastered for the Xbox One. Far Cry 3. Now, I talk about Far Cry 3 all the time, and I'm sorry, but it is one of my favorite games of all time. Like, and we're talking about replay. I've replayed this game so many times. I replayed it
Before
just to,
you go on, I just want to say a little hot take. His name's Jason, right? Is it Jason?
yeah, Jason Brody.
Jason has more development than Naruto. Bye.
Anyways, I'm not gonna touch that. You not gonna touch that. First of all, character design for Jason. The story of Jason in general is amazing. To get all the tattoos is so much fun. Every achievement, every tattoo feels earned and worthy. There's such a great story. Voss, enough said. And the best part of the whole game for me was just hunting the animals, dude. Finding all the legendary animals, collecting all the animal skins to upgrade your wallet, your loot bag, your gun carrier. Driving around the island was so much fun. I remember I could just drive around the island just for hours, just on its own, just because you would always find something new. There are so many Easter eggs throughout the whole game, like references to other Ubisoft games, references to other Far Cry games, references to the Far Cry 3 itself, with the opening scene or the cover of the game on the island. You can find it. There's even like a short movie, like a prequel to this game. Like that's how much love is in this game, and it's just enough. I can't say enough about it. I could ramble and go on and on, but that's just the main points. Like Far Cry 3 is amazing.
Yeah, and hands down, Boss is top five video game villains.
Oh
Like
yeah,
no doubt about it. He left a huge impact when I played this game. I'm like, dude, this guy Boss is a fucking badass. And when he dies is when I was like, fuck, dude. He's one of those villains where you didn't want to die because he's so fucking cool. And I remember watching the interviews and like how they cast him, how Voss wasn't even an original character that they were gonna add into the game, but they loved that guy's I forgot the guy's name, but they loved his performance for interviewing. That they're like, you know what, we're gonna make you a full on character that looks just like you, and it's pretty much just you. So they made that's what Voss came to be. And I thought he was the main villain, which I thought would have been perfect, but no, we got fucking Hoyt. And I'm really like, hey, he's supposed to be crazier than Voss. Like, no, he's not. Voss is fucking crazier. Hoyt did not say, do you know the definition of insanity? No, Voss said that, not Hoyt. Fuck Hoyt. Voss is the true villain.
dude. If you pay attention in that, Voss was ready to bang his sister to be a hero.
Oh yeah.
Like he was that crazy.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he's crazy. But number
What's your
two,
number two?
yeah, number two is gonna be well, boy, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is my number two, and of course there's those two. There's two endings, but the thing is with the Red Dead that there was so much details added to this game, so much things you could do in this game, a lot of choices you can do in this game, and even if those choices weren't around, I would still want to play just because of how the game made me feel in the end. I remember once you complete the story, there's these bands that made like an original music for the game. And these songs, like I have them on my fucking phone, dude. Like I'll play them every once in a while, and like every time I hear them, it hits hard, dude. Cause like when we first heard Red Dead 2's game made, people were going crazy, like fuck yeah, let's go, prequel to John Marston's story. But then when they said, oh, you're actually playing as one of his gang members, which is Arthur Morgan, everyone was like, whatever. We're not gonna love him as much as John Marston. After completing the story, dude, and seeing Arthur's life play through that the whole game, I fucking love Arthur Morgan. He's for sure my top 5 video game characters to ever grace the video game media. And just when he dies, dude, so depending on the choices you choose, but my favorite is when you choose to save Marston to leave. There's a part when you fight, Micah, which is pretty much like the main villain of the story, and then you're pretty much on the floor, and Dutch shows up and he's about to shoot you, but and he's like, Dutch, Micah's a rat. He's the one who ratted the whole crew, and then Micah's like, don't believe him, just come with me. Let's get out of here, Dutch. But Dutch kind of looks at both of them and he just kind of walks away. And then mind you the fact that Arthur Morgan had tuberculosis at that point too. So pretty much after Micah leaves and Dutch leaves and just Arthur by himself laying down, and he crawls to like the edge of the cliff, and then as he gets there, he lays on his back, and you see the sunrise coming up, and then you hear him take his last breath. He's like, and then you see him stop breathing, and then this sad song just plays. And I'm like, oh, dude, that fucking hit so hard, dude. I was tearing up, dude. I was like, God damn it, dude. I thought I was going to like Arthur Morgan. Turns out he's one of my favorite all-time characters. Not just in Red Dead, but just all-time in general. And even the story is well written as well. There's so many side missions that I didn't do. Because if you do them with Arthur Morgan, you see him with Arthur Morgan. Or it's so detailed where if you do a side mission with Arthur Morgan, and let's say you do one side mission, and then you die, and you're playing as John Marston in the end. And then when you go back to his side character, he's like, oh, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm Arthur Morgan's friend. On his notebook, he wrote about you, so I decided to help you out. So, it's super detailed, because John Marston took Arthur's notebook, and he pretty much, that's where Arthur writes his whole story, life story. So, if you go back to a side mission character that you did with Arthur Morgan as John Marston, then, John Marston would say, oh, yeah, I was reading Arthur's journal, and he was saying that he talked about you, with your journeys with him. And I was like, oh, he's gone. I was like, oh, sad to hear. He was a great man. So just so many details, like I said, details. The story's good. Even the side characters are good. The whole gang has their own separate, personalities, which makes them work well together. Especially the voice actors. I mean, there's a reason why. I think Roger Clark. Roger Clark is his name. He won best voice acting in the game for Video Game Awards. He won the best voice acting for Arthur Morgan, which I agree with hands down. His performance with Arthur Morgan is so god tier level. It's next to Kratos. It's just so awesome. I still play Red Dead 2 to this day. I'll just hop it in. Even though I don't play the story mode, I'll just go in and just fucking be an asshole, be an outlaw. Because like I said, I play a good guy in the first time, and then I play as a bad guy the second one, which I did with Arthur Morgan. And it's a sad story, awesome story. It's a thrilling story. It's like I said, it has all kinds of emotions that throws at you, but that's my number 2.
You know what got me in the Red Dead 2 is when Arthur's wearing John's hat from the first game. I was like, no.
No, and speaking of moments that got us, there's also the moment I love watching on YouTube. I just watch it because it's so awesome. Is when Arthur saves Abigail, and then he's like, all right, Abigail. And he's like, and it's Jack, Sadie, to take him to cover. And then Abigail's crying because she knows that he's going to go back to the gang to, confront Dutch. And he's like, sorry, but I got to do this. I've been an asshole all my life, so, I want to do something right for a change. And then as Abigail and, Sadie all leave, then it's just him by his horse. And he goes in his bag, and he gets his hat, puts it on, starts riding at the horse, and then you hear this sad song. It's called, That's the Way It Is. And that song, as he's riding in slow motion, as the way you chose your path, you hear voices from the past, the whole journey, go through your head. And I think the one that hit home was when one of his ex-lovers was like, it's like, you're good, there's a good man in you, but that good man is wrestling with the giant, which is the evil in you. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. Talk about fantastic writing, dude. It's so good. I think I might play Red Dead after this fucking video ends, bro. Dead ass. I'm not even playing around. But I
Do
could
you
keep,
want
I could keep,
to?
I could keep going on, bro. I could keep going on. But what's your number two?
I already did my number two, but do you want to do honorable mentions? Do you have one?
Oh, your number two is Red Dead 2 as well.
No, no. I said no. I already did my number two.
Oh,
It
that's
was
true. That's true.
Far Cry. But do you have any honorable mentions?
Honorable men. You go first, cause like I need to think about it right now.
Okay, so my honorable mentions are Red Dead One, Mad Max, the video game, Sleeping Dogs, and Wii Sports.
Wii Sports, bro.
Think about how many games you played on Wii Sports, dude. One of the most replayable games.
Honestly, you're right about that one, dude. Shit. Honestly, I didn't see this coming. I should have made an honorable mention list as well. God damn it. Well, first one that came to mind, for sure, Jack and Dexter series. You know, 1, 2, 3. That's like one of those PS2 Die Hard games. Ratchet and Clank for sure. Heads on there as well. I'll go with pretty much Halo 1 and 2. Halo 1 and 2 are on there as well. How can I forget? How can this be a video without me talking about Dragon Ball, right?
Right.
So pretty much Dragon Ball Budokai and Dragon Ball Budokai 3. Those were the games I played the shit out of as a kid, dude. But then again, that's another thing I go on and on about. So, what's your number one, dude?
Well, my number one is obviously The Wolf Among Us.
I honestly saw this coming. I saw it coming.
So you said at number three, and I was like, "Dig."
Dick. I saw that coming.
So, like Leo said, Leo and me played this game way differently. Okay, my buddy told me about this. He was like, "Hey, dude, you should play The Wolf Among Us if you like the Walking Dead series." And I was like, "Okay, cool, let me play." So, I bought the whole first season, and I played it, and I was an asshole always. I did all the brutal things ever, and it didn't really hit me. I was like, this game is good. I can see my decisions are impacting the story, but it hasn't hit me yet. But when it hit me, is in when all your bad actions really come to fruition. Is when at the very end of the game you have a choice. You have a bunch of times you can kill the main villain, the Crooked Man. Well, if you take him all the way to the well and you rip his head off in front of everybody in the well, which I definitely did the first time playing, everyone looks at you in a way that isn't true to how Big B is. Big B is a very loving, compassionate person, but the way I played him made people see him as a monster. And that hurt me so much because, I did nice things to like Snow, the pig, the frog family, but I was brutal to the criminals and the politicians. But that's all the people saw me as after. It was a monster, and I was like, yo, like these decisions really do affect the story. So that's when I really went back and replayed the game and saw the love and detail. I even started reading some of the comics, and that's when you honestly do see the love and detail because there's references to all the other characters, their homeland. There's the hints of Snow and Bigby's love, and it's just such a beautiful, well written story with an amazing protagonist, a good antagonist, and a great conflict, like a great moral conflict with Bigby trying to be a good man and keeping the wolf that's inside of him down. You know, he is very much like an Arthur Morgan character. There's a good man somewhere in him, but he's wrestling with a giant wolf.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny because like God pretty much put us in this world for us to meet each other one day. Because the fact that my number 3 was Wolf Among Us, and your number 3 was Skyrim, and your number 1 was Wolf Among Us, and my number 1 is Skyrim.
I knew it was gonna be a Skyrim.
So when I saw number 3 as Skyrim, I'm like, really, you son of a gun! Like that's an amazing game, but it's pretty much anything with what Ryan said about Skyrim. Just it's the thing is like you could play 1,000 hours of Skyrim, and you still wouldn't even see everything that there is this game has to offer. Like there's so much shit. Like I remember when I first played it, I didn't like it. Believe it or not, I was like, it's whatever, it's whatever. I put it down, and then and I picked it up again. I was like, fuck it, let me go through it this time. So I was playing it. I kept going, kept learning my character. And then I've noticed that this game, or just series, the Elder Scrolls series in general, has such a vast backstory. Like, if you, like, I encourage you guys to look up the story of Elder Scrolls. And I shit you not, that it's super, super detailed. They have their gods. They have their, their different races. They have their, the world called Nirn. And there's 7 continents in that world. They have their planets, they have their moons, their suns, all different, they're all named differently. It's so detailed. And Skyrim was the first one I played, and I love Skyrim so much that it made me play the other ones. So I played Oblivion and Morrowind, and the thing what I love about these games is I would try to play it in the shoes of someone that, picked it up when it first came out, and it makes your gameplay much better, by the way. And Skyrim was just so revolutionary that I remember when it came out, everyone was talking about Skyrim. Everyone was. Everyone loved it. Everyone was playing it. If you see tons of reviews on YouTube on the Skyrim, they're all at least 9 or above. Shit you not. They're all 9 or above. And playing this game for the first time, I was just roaming around. Like, I think, Professor, you were just roaming around doing side quests. And when I looked up YouTube videos, there was so much that I did not know you could do in this game. Like, you could be a werewolf. You could be a vampire. You could be a vampire hunter. You could be like a bandit. You could be, one of like the right hand mans of, the Jarls, which is like the presidents of each city of like the 9 holds in Skyrim. You could pretty much help out the Daedra, which is like the devil of Skyrim. You could help them out, and they give you like a unique art, weapon or, armor piece, whatever it is. There's a super, super well done leveling system. And pretty much if you want to play as an archer, you could play as an archer. If you want to play as an assassin, you could play as an assassin. This game gives you whatever the choice you want to do. So if you want to play as a certain character, there's no limitations on to play that character. If you want to play that character, you'll play as that character. If you want to be that two-handed, like strong ass dude with heavy armor just rushes in, you can be that character. So, and even just like what Ryan was saying about the side characters, there's a lot of memorable side characters. There's also a bunch of like books that you could pick up. Like you could pick up a book and read it, and it says some quest about like an ancient weapon, and as soon as you pick it up and open that page, it says quest added, whatever the quest is named. You go on that quest and you get that same ancient weapon that the book was talking about, and it's overpowered. Like Skyrim is the game of this decade, 2011. That's the best game of this decade. I don't care what any of you guys say. The fact that it beats God of War and Red Dead 2, which the games I talk about a lot in this podcast, says a lot about how good Skyrim is. Hands down, worth playing. Thousands of hours. I've always played in console, and I just recently hopped on PC to play it. PC is a way better version, 60 frames. The controls are easier. I'm waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. It's my most anticipated game of all time, even though they only released a teaser that pretty much saying, hey, yeah, we're working on it. That's it. I fucking love that game.
Skyrim is a good game, dude.
It's an amazing game.
Tell me why when you were like, when I said Skyrim and you said Wolf Among Us was yours, I was like, man, Skyrim is his number one for sure.
Dude, it has to be, no doubt about it. It's an amazing game.
Dude, well, it really says something to Skyrim's like merit that it keeps getting remastered, Like I was saying this because I recently started playing Sleeping Dogs, like I'm sure I've talked about it before, but Sleeping Dogs keeps getting remastered, and there's a reason. It's good. People don't want it to change. People don't need it to change. People are like, this is great. This is good. This is what we want. As far as Elder Scrolls 6, like, You just need to take Skyrim and improve it with better graphics and some better gameplay mechanics, and you have another game of the decade. Honestly,
That's the thing about Bethesda. Like I know people shit on Bethesda for being a shitty studio, but when it comes to the Elder Scrolls, like game, like they know how to craft their Elder Scrolls. And if you see each game, all 5 games, sorry, my bad. I'll just burp. But they all improve on their mistakes, So like Morrowind, I forgot what the problem was, but I know like Oblivion, approved, not yeah, improved of that. And then Skyrim was pretty much like a better version of Oblivion. And then no doubt about it that Elder Scrolls 6, because everyone is skeptic that's going to be Argonia, which is like the land of the Argonians, which is like the lizard people. And they're saying that for sure Elder Scrolls is gonna be the game where it improves all of the Skyrim stuff that happened there. But then again, like Skyrim was such a perfect game that there's little stuff that I would want them to improve on. Maybe one thing for sure that I wish they could improve on is for sure get a lot more voice actors. These guys are balling with money. And I do know, I do get it. There's thousands and thousands of NPCs that they add to the game. So they all just can't have unique voices, right? But I hate it when you're talking to the Jarl of Winterhold and he has this very deep voice. And then you're walking around somewhere on the other side of the world, on the other side of the map, and you see a random ass civilian walking by and he has that same exact voice. I'm like, really? Like, you could at least change it up a bit where it doesn't sound the same, but like for sure, since they have a way bigger budget, they should hire a lot more voice actors. Or if they can't, at least change it up a bit when you're voicing another character. But like I said, Skyrim is so amazing, and Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be amazing. I just know it is. There's no doubt about it.
agreed.
So that's our top 5 list. So I forgot. My number 5 is pretty much every old console games, PS2, 64, GameCube, whatever. Number 4 is Black Ops 2. Number 3, The Wolf Among Us. Number 2, Red Dead 2. And then number 1, The Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim.
My list is Batman Arkham Knight, Soul Calibur 2 / Tony Hawk Underground, Skyrim, Far Cry 3, and The Wolf Among Us.
And that's our list. So that's all we have for today. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at PhoneDealio. Ryan?
You can find me on Instagram at PandemicMurph. And don't forget to follow our newly added Instagram page at thegamer_the_weeb. And thank you very much. This has been the Gamer and the Weeb podcast, the only podcast that wanted to be adventurous but took an arrow to the knee. Signing off.